Hello and welcome to the Connect the Dots podcast. My name is Heather and I'm your host. Connect the Dots is a podcast that takes the time to explore deep, thought-provoking questions that I have. We learn more about neurodiversity. I bring interviews from a variety of individuals on a variety of subjects, and we learn how to navigate the workplace. Through all of this, we're connecting the dots and bringing a beautiful journey together. As you can tell, I am slightly under the weather today, so my apologies for not being on video for the intro. But today on the podcast, I am sharing an interview that I did with Martha Arrington. She is an amazingly talented artist. She's a certified Zentangle teacher, and she's an educator. I have been following her on Instagram for a while, and we started having some conversations via DMs. And so I was really excited to ask her to come on the podcast and talk with me about all the creative things that she does and a little bit about kind of managing that social media piece as far as, being a creative. So really, really, really great conversation. I hope that you get as much out of it in terms of knowledge and laughter as I did. And so at this point, let's just get into the interview. Well, hello, Martha. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and to talk with you finally. We've just communicated via Instagram Messenger, so
that's right. I love that, it's kind of like meeting, you get virtual friends and it's like, oh, now I get to meet you in person, virtually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited to have you on the podcast because your art inspires me. I'm fascinated by Zentangles. I try to do this. I can barely draw a straight line, but I'm fascinated and love to watch your videos of those. And I love to watch your painting videos and all of this, but I can fangirl all day long. For those that maybe don't know who you are, will you tell us a little bit about your background, kind of what you do, and kind of where you are right now in your creative journey?
Well, I guess I've always been a creator. I mean, since I was a little girl, I've been making stuff. But growing up, I never pursued it. I don't think it was an option. I never took art classes. There's so many art classes available to children now. That was not an option for me. So I got art in elementary school, but I was always creating outside of school. I grew up visiting one of my grandparents pretty frequently, and my grandfather had built homes. That was his occupation. And so there was a work barn on the property. And I would spend so many hours in that work barn creating things, building things. And so I think it's just a part of me. I don't think I went to an art class and said, okay, I'm going to be an artist. I've just been a creator my entire life. But I never thought it was a viable way of making a living. And I don't want to say I wasn't allowed to choose it as a career path, but that was the 80s and the 90s, and my parents were like, you can't do that. With that being said, in college, my mom did say to me, why don't you take an art class? You really liked that in high school. And I did, and then that led me to studying abroad in Italy. And then I said, oh my gosh, I want to teach children about art. And I became an art education major. And just teaching art, you're teaching creativity, so why not be creative yourself? But it was always just kind of a hobby to be an artist. I thought of myself as a teacher, not an artist. People would say, oh, what kind of art do you make? You're an art teacher. What kind of art do you make? I don't have time to make art. That's not possible when you're a teacher. You're exhausted at the end of the day. So it was just a hobby. I would take calligraphy classes. I would take ceramics classes. I would take Zentangle classes. And I loved it, But it wasn't until I left teaching that I was able to pursue art the way that I am now. Like I could devote so much more time to being an artist. I had the mental capacity to get to where I needed to be as an artist to produce work. So I left teaching for 6 years and I've just returned. I don't think I would be where I am now without that 6 years away. And even though I'm really exhausted now, as a teacher, teaching now is very hard because of the pandemic. The kids, socially, emotionally, it's on another level I've never seen ever. I think because I spent so many years becoming an artist in my time away, that it's just a part of me. It's a part of my daily, my day to day. It's just what I do, and I always say I was created to create. So I guess like 5-ish years ago, I started to make some big changes in my life. And that's when the art really started to happen. I did the 100-day project. I would say that was probably a big turning point for me. You, I know, just did a 100-day podcast project, correct?
Yes.
That was critical in me learning how to do something every single day and making a commitment to my art every single day. And that, I highly recommend that to anybody, whether you're creative or not, but do something every day for 100 days and it changes you. It changes the way your mind works as well. So I did the 100-day project. And then in 2020, I took an art marketing class because I thought, I want to monetize my art. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think there are a lot of people who think, oh, well, I just make art for myself, which is fine. And there are other people that say, well, I don't make art to sell it. And I'm like, well, I do. I want to share my work with people. I want my work to be on their walls and not something they buy at Target. There are so many creative people out there that have so much to share. And I want to be one of those people that shares it. And so I took a marketing class for art. And that really taught me a lot. The artist, Emily Jeffords, she's a landscape artist. This is a woman who makes 6 figures a year. She supports her family of 5. And I was like, yeah, like you can make a living as an artist now. And I think that's absolutely wonderful. And I'm glad that conversation is starting to change of like, it is a viable way of making a living. So I shortly after that, I released my first collection. So that was 2020. And then in 2021, I had my first art festival in Chattanooga. And just last weekend, I presented a new collection of work here in Augusta at what is called the Augusta Handmade Fair. And it was wonderful. So that's a really long answer to your question. I hope I covered everything. But also just very simply, I'm a painter. I am a certified Zentangle teacher, and I'm a K-5 art teacher. So that's what I do. And recently, I've started to put my Zentangle drawings onto ceramics, and that is something that has just come about in the past month or two. So very exciting.
And they are gorgeous.
Thank you. I've had a lot of positive responses to that.
I know, because when you were making all the things for the fair and you were putting them up on Instagram, and I was just like, I mean, I want her to sell all of them, but I also want her to have some that she can sell on the website so I could buy one.
Yeah. And it's been great. And I've had people reach out to me locally that weren't able to go to the fair. And so I'm like, yeah, let's meet up. I can sell you this piece still. And it was really cool to have, exciting is a better word, to have people so interested in something, because while people really like my paintings, they didn't seem to sell the way the ceramic work has. So it's something that I'm going to be contemplating this summer as I start to think about my next year's plan. I know I'm stumbling for words here, but it's exciting to have people have a positive response. And I've tried to ask some people why they like the ceramics more than the paintings. And I've gotten a few different answers. One thing is, I think people like functional art. Non-art people like something they can use, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, if you're not an art person, it's going to be more appealing to you. So,
with the thought of like functional art, right? And before we hit the record button, I was taking you through my gallery wall, which has one of your pieces on it. So
yeah,
for me, like art for me, right, is because I do get to present it on camera because of how I work with people, and so people get to see the art. But when I leave this room, right, like the art in my house is not like this is where the art lives,
right?
Other than like photographs and that kind of art, and so like outside this room, for me, right, functional art is what like in my life would like works well. Like I love coffee mugs, and I will buy interesting coffee mugs, and my husband thankfully has come to understand that I use all of my said coffee mugs, and so he sometimes contributes to the problem and buys me coffee mugs.
Well, that's something I'll be working on this summer, so you might have a new coffee mug this fall.
I've only, when we moved to this house, this is the first house I've lived in that had ceramic tile in the kitchen. Why on earth people put ceramic tile in a kitchen?
Yeah.
Ceramic tile and hardwood. Those are two things that don't belong in a kitchen, in my opinion.
Right.
Another discussion for another day. However, things that fall on ceramic tile that are breakable don't survive.
Right.
I have broken, luckily only, I think only one coffee mug I have broken. And so like I have to be very careful with my coffee mugs because they do mean a lot to me. All of them have sentimental value to me. And which is why I have such a collection. Like they all mean something to me. And so like that functional art piece, like I've got this, so this is my,
oh, lovely,
my, holder of pens. And I've had this, I got this from my, ninth grade boyfriend. For like a present. It was like it's a candle holder or something.
Yeah.
But I love it. It makes me so happy. And so I've just kept it for all these years because it's a great pen holder. And it's pretty. And it's nice to look at. The functional
love
piece
that.
Of art.
Exactly.
Some of those, now I've just completely like ruined this entire box of things. Like this is what I do, right? I put things in a box like together, so if I ever move anything at all, the whole thing comes crumbling down. I'll have to fix that later. But totally lost my train of thought there. Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
That happens.
That happens all the time to me now. I have to rely on younger people around me to keep me on track.
So
I've turned into my mother.
I don't know how I keep on track sometimes. I'm like, I write a lot of things down. I write a lot of notes. I write a lot of sticky notes.
Yes.
But then I can't read them because I can't read my handwriting. So it's just, sometimes it's a fruitless effort, but it's okay. I try.
I use my phone a lot to just dictate voice notes or whatever. Because if I have a thought in my brain, it will not be there tomorrow. So I have to capture it immediately. I love the phone for that.
I should really do a better job. As techie as I am, right? Like literally, we're sitting right here. Phone, iPad, computer, work computer, old work computer that I need to send back. I still got stuff to get off of, and I haven't yet.
Yeah.
But like I have 3 computers, an iPad, and a phone on this desk right now, and still I have trouble going blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Remember this for me. My husband last night. Great example of technology and how I don't use it well. My husband was like, "Hey, remind me when we get home from dinner and stuff to put my clothes in the dryer." Yes, dear, we'll do. Hold on. Hey, remind me when we get home to put the clothes in the dryer. Cool, right? But I'm at home, so she doesn't understand that the reminder's not for home now. And so then I have to go in, like, so, like, I just need, as techie as I am, I have yet to find how technology can really assist
you. Yeah. I'm trying to get better at that. I'm like, why don't I use Siri more than I do? I could have reminders for anything. There should be no reason I forget about anything at all.
Absolutely. Shouldn't be.
Anyway.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, you're not.
I really need to be better about this stuff. Okay, so I see over a couple of questions, and we kind of talked through one of them as far as, when did you start art, what that journey has been like. But, and I feel like we kind of had some of these conversations over Messenger in Instagram, but have you ever felt burnt out with like being creative, right? Like just getting to that point of like, I can't create anymore. I don't know what else I can create. Like, and how do you overcome that if you ever hit that kind of wall?
I don't think I've hit a burnout in a sense of ideas and wanting to share my art. I haven't hit that yet. My burnout is usually because I'm almost manic in the way my routine is not the word I'm looking for, but my process. I'm almost manic right now. And my goal this summer is to figure out how to be more even keeled. So for like the past month, I have just been go, getting ready for this fair that I did last weekend. I mean, every afternoon after school, I came home and made art. Every weekend, I made art. And what have I done this week? Absolutely no art. It was too much. And it messes up my sleep. It gives me anxiety. Even though I love what I do and I'm making this work and I'm so excited about it, like I'm not upset in that month of making, but it's after it's over, it's like, it's so exhausting. So that's my burnout that I have. I think there could be a time when I say, I don't know what I want to do next, but I don't think I'm there yet, which I'm very excited about. I'm very happy I'm not there yet, but my burnout tends to be because of my process. So my goal is, when I did the art festival last year in Chattanooga, it was these are people that make a living as artists traveling to art shows around the country. And I just had a zillion questions for people. And so I talked to this gentleman across the way from me, and he creates screen printed retro 50s, 60s imagery that he then, it's screen printed onto fabric, and then he creates handbags and purses and things like that. I think Scotty Jones fiber art, maybe. I'll have to check on that. But anyway, I said, how do you do this? How do you not get burned out? There's crunch time that happens. And he said, I keep an inventory. So when we get home next week from this show, I will look at it and say, okay, I sold 5 handbags. I have to make 5 handbags. Okay, I sold 10 change purses. Okay, I'm going to make 10 change purses. So that I always have this inventory that I'm taking to each show or festival. I want to get there. And I want to get there so that I can make, 5 pieces of art on the weekend. And that's all I have to make. I don't have to make 25 and just devote so much time and energy to where I dismiss my health. I dismiss my sleep. I don't eat right because I'm just in this maker mode and stress. I think a little of that is fine, but I really liked his way of handling that. So that's another goal of mine, to get more even keeled so I don't burn out. And I'm on a consistent basis of making art so that I don't have to have that crunch time. So.
That makes a lot of sense to have that goal, to get that, because really, I mean, with anything creative, like with the podcast, if I don't plan ahead, if I don't schedule out things and do interviews ahead of time, then I'm scrambling at the last moment, right. Not able, I gotta get it done, I got, goes up tomorrow, it gets, my anxiety up, it gets my stress level up in trying to put out everything. Whereas if I would just, and I'm working on the same thing now, right? I've got Canva, so I'll go in and I've made templates for my YouTube stuff, for my interview, podcast art, my neurodiversity podcast art. Every week has a specific, image that I can just simply go copy, use, and just change the word. Getting in that kind of process and flow, that way it's not night before crunch time, sitting here making, trying to speak words into this microphone and then not make sense. Yeah.
I've done that recently with Instagram Reels. About a month ago when it was spring break, I had, a week off, and one afternoon I made 15 reels or something. I just did Zentangles all afternoon and I just recorded them. And so while I have been processing and creating this work for this handmade fair with all my ceramic stuff, I didn't have time really to do my Zentangle work the same way. But I was like, oh, awesome. I already have it saved in my draft folder and I get to post this today. And it was just it just took this weight off of my shoulders of feeling like I had to create more content because it was already there.
Oh, gotta get better.
Batch your work. That is some of the best advice that I've ever gotten. Batch your work. Like you were saying though, you have templates for on Canva for whatever you need, and you can just go to them and you can just change a color if you need to, and it's one less thing in your brain that you have to devote creative energy to.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now at work, this week in particular, I had to put together our video for all hands, and so I'm taking videos from 6 different people and putting it together in Final Cut, doing all of this work, which for me I love to do. I love to that's part of my creativity is making videos. But at the same time, I was so exhausted from it, and I'm okay, and I gotta recover, right? I can't.
Yeah.
I gotta back up and say, oh, okay. I always equate work-life harmony. It's not balance. It's a harmony. And so this week I keep reminding myself I'm in a season of high tide. Of just a lot of work is happening, and I know that it's about to recede, right? So I had a practicum I did last week where I was in class 4 days, 6 hours, plus my normal job. And then next week, I get a little break. I'm going to Disney on my birthday. And then I'm going to Austin for work for a couple of days. And then I come back and it's and when I come back from Austin, like, okay, low tide, like it's going to recede. It's to recede back, and I'm going to be able to have that harmony kind of back again, because I know how this works at work. And, it's again high tide, and then it recedes, and it's low tide, and we can kind of have that harmony back and forth.
I like that description because I'm in a similar place. It's the end of the school year. My school is actually closing, and they're going to tear it down for 2 years and rebuild it. So not only are we having to just pack up end of the year, but we're also have to literally get everything we want out of the building.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so, yeah, it's insane. And then if you want stuff transferred to your new school, you have to go through this whole rigmarole and all this stuff. And the kids are just chaotic because yesterday was Friday the 13th. And if you don't believe in stuff like that, it's because you've never been a teacher. Friday the 13th, Mercury is in retrograde. And I think there's about to be a full moon next week. So it's just, there's something to be said for that. Anyway, it's chaotic right now. And when people ask me to do stuff, I'm like, I'm not doing anything until Memorial Day. It's too much going on in my life, and it's high tide, like you said. And then when school is out, it's going to be completely different. Like I'll have some time to breathe, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Like I think it's just a part of life, right?
Yeah. You can't have a straight balance. It's because it's not equal. You don't need to spend equal times at work and life. You're spending way too much time at work if you're doing that. So it's got to be a harmony. I saw somebody else call it a blend. But harmony, that's a happy word for me, so I'll like that one.
Yeah.
So you've got to find the harmony in it, and and it's something too with the people around you, making sure that they understand, like, this is how this flows. In my world, this is how my harmony works, right? We're going to be really busy with this kind of stuff, and it's going to pull back, and that, that whole thing.
Yeah.
So I have a question. I want to talk a little bit more about the social media stuff, but I want to talk a little bit about the art behind you. Because I'm interested in the process of, like, so I know the one that's over your left shoulder, that one. So that's, I think when I first started following you, that was the collection that you had out or you were working on, and then you transitioned to the one that's like right behind.
All of these.
Yeah, all of those was like the next collection, and then so how do you do that, right? How do you, like, what's that process of going, okay, oh, this is what I want to do now, and now I'm going to focus on this thing. Like, how does that process work?
So I think
does that make sense? Like
because I asked myself that because it's such a different body of work.
Yeah.
And even my new paintings, which I think took a backseat to my ceramic work, and I've got to figure out, I've mentioned that earlier, but anyway, I don't want to just dismiss it and say, oh, it's just because my ADHD brain is bouncing all over the walls. I have, all these different ideas. I don't think it's just that. So the first collection I did, I called it Circles and Springs, and you can see there's this kind of like spring element. I think there's some more up there. So that's 2 more of the springs. And then that one up there is one of the circles. And a lot of that was a kind of the birth of Martha as an artist. And, so not only like a springing, but springtime, like that is the birth of so many things. And so that is where that collection came from. That was me kind of putting literal paint on paper, but also putting myself out there. So that's where that collection came from. And then a lot of this work, you can't see it from here, but it has this very fine, the dotting that I do, the repetition that I do, it's there. That's there.
One of my favorite parts of that work.
So yeah, I have this very organic way of putting the original paint on the paper. That collection was all watercolor. And then the next layer is this very meditative, intentional mark making with paint markers. Then later that year, I started the 100-Day Project, and I decided to do 100 days of patterns. It was amazing. This was my second 100-day project that I'd ever done. And that was last year, and it was amazing. And I think that is where this collection came from. It was so a part of me at that time that I just was like, I want to share this pattern work, but I want to share it as paintings. So there's watercolor here, but it certainly is not like the watercolor from my first collection. And then I also incorporated gouache paint. So it comes a little bit more mixed media. And the repetitive mark making was not in this collection because it was repetitive painting that I was doing. And I love both of these collections equally. They make me very, very happy. Otherwise, I guess I wouldn't have them here on my walls. These are all the ones that I refuse to sell. I'm like, no, those are mine.
Yeah, the one, I have one from the spring collection that I've got to, I was telling you before we hit record, right? I've got to redo my gallery wall so I can put it and another new painting up. And the new collection that you have, like when I look at it, I love the boldness of the color, and it's almost like both of them came together. Because it's got the feel of the spring with just the way the lines are done, but it's got the real vivid color like the pattern collection. I'm ready. Are they on the website? Can I get them yet?
No. After school is out.
That's right. After Memorial Day. I
was hoping maybe tomorrow I'll be able to work on my website some, but yeah.
No rush.
Okay.
Take your time. Take your time. I am ready. When you have it up, I will be there to purchase.
Yay! Thank you so much.
I'm again, it's one of those things like I keep my cousin is a painter. Her and her husband are both painters, and they make her husband makes very large art. Very large art.
I'm jealous. I would love to make large art.
Yeah. And it's phenomenal. Like I am so impressed. Like I was at their house a couple weeks ago, and I just kept staring at one of his paintings that I don't even know it's done. To me, it's done. Like I would buy it as is and just continue to stare at it. Because one of the things about paintings for me and pictures and drawings is I love the layering, because my brain goes, how'd they do that? Like it puts my brain in a tangle, because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So that line goes here, but then that line's over that, but then it's over this. Okay, wait. And I try to process it. I can't. My brain doesn't. But that's what draws me into it. And they're making their own canvases too. Like I watched them they were pulling some canvases while I was there. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, like because they make such large art, it's cheaper for them to build their canvases and whatnot. And he's a glass blower, which, he's trying to find a place here in Florida to do that. And he keeps telling me, he's like, but it's so hot. He was like, I don't know how that works in Florida.
Yeah.
It's like, agreed. Like, you probably don't want to do that in July.
I know. I went to Bermuda a few times. I was a nanny one year, and there's a glass blowing shop on Bermuda for the tourist, and I was like, I can't imagine. The humidity of just walking outside in Bermuda is insane. But yeah, just to blow glass.
Yeah,
no.
I'm fascinated. Like I'm so drawn into their whole process of what they do. So I don't know where I was. Anyways, okay. This is how my podcasts work. People know this about me. Yes. It is very random. There is no rhyme or reason to where we go.
Yeah, that's fine with me. It's organic.
Yes.
Yes. I love this.
This is come to my coffee chat. Come to my cocktail hour. That's what this is. Okay, so this is something that you and I have talked about, and we a little bit today, but definitely over on Instagram, is the struggles of social media promotion. and trying to get that engagement and figuring out that harmony of like, how do I do this and what do I do, and how are you currently feeling about it, and any advice or insights to share?
I feel like I need to add some whiskey to my coffee to answer this question.
Is it 5 o'clock in Bermuda yet?
Right, exactly. Social media. I don't like Instagram, but if I'm going to be on it, I got to play by their rules. And I think that's just, it is how it is.
Yeah.
It's just, I've never bought sponsored content on Instagram. I don't know if I don't want to, but I don't know if it'll get to a point where maybe I need to. The time of organic growth on Instagram is long gone. I think it ended around 2020, unfortunately. For me, for you, if that's when this all started for you. Wasn't it 2019 that your podcast started?
End of 2019, it was announced, and in 2020 it started, yes.
Yeah. That time is done. So all these artists with this huge following, I would say they got it prior to 2019. It's frustrating. We've talked about, creating polls for people to answer, and, you can see who's seen your poll, and you can see how many people have answered. And it's like 50 people have seen this and maybe 20 have answered. And I'm like, you've looked at it. Why can't you just touch a button? And I haven't actually asked anybody that, because I don't want to attack anyone with my with my judgment of why don't you participate in my polls. It's funny, this last weekend there's a guy was buying a gift for his wife for Mother's Day, for their anniversary, and he bought a vessel, and he said, I'm so-and-so, and I answer all of your questions. And I was like, yay, thank you. And that really does mean so much. And I don't think people understand that little thing can be so helpful to a creative person. And maybe I just need to say that one day. I try to be as thankful and as grateful as I can to people in my stories when they participate. But I don't know what the answer is. I don't understand Instagram. I don't understand social media. I don't know how they choose to show my work to some people or they don't show it. I don't understand why I don't see the accounts that I follow. I don't understand what they're trying to do. I don't know.
I agree. I don't understand, and I don't play the game well because I haven't read the rules to the game.
They don't have any.
They keep changing because the rules keep changing. I do follow a guy named Ben Levitt, and he does a really good job, or had been doing a really good job. He's kind of changed up his format a little bit, but about like giving Instagram advice. Like if CEO or whoever about Instagram like put out like, hey, this new thing is happening. Like he was usually on the spot, like an hour later had a video out about how to use it, what it is, what it's going to do. Like he's a social media marketing guy. And he does podcasts and Instagram and YouTube is his three things that he focuses on. And so I watch his videos and he's all about like, oh, you got to do this, and you got to do reels, and you got to, I'm like, oh, like I go to do a reel and I'm just like, I did a reel of my kitchen. Okay. Right. It is not my content. I'm not a decorator. None of that. I was just really proud that I got new countertops.
Yeah.
and I painted my cabinets. And I was just very proud of the accomplishment of getting that update done in my kitchen.
Yeah.
And so I made a reel of like, I was like, before, after, like that whole thing. Yeah. And it's got like 3,500 watches.
Yeah.
And then I put up a reel of something else and it's like nothing. Like 10 or something. I'm
right.
Like, I don't understand. Was it the song? Because I didn't put I don't think I had anything in the caption really. Maybe just like new kitchen update, like no hashtags because I'm lazy.
Yeah.
I don't hashtag anything.
I don't think anybody knows. I think the only thing we can all agree on is that they are pushing reels.
Yeah.
But even that, I posted a reel a few weeks ago. It's just one of my Zentangle reels, 3,500. Maybe even I got up to 6,000 views. And then I posted some this week with the new Lizzo song, which is, the popular song right now. And it has like maybe 1,500. I'm like, oh, what do you want from me, Instagram?
Yeah.
I did the same content. I did a Zentangle drawing and I chose a popular song. What? I don't know.
So you're on TikTok as well, right?
Yes, but I haven't posted in a long time.
Okay.
So that's a summer goal.
So I'm not on TikTok. Like I don't have an account. I don't have the app. My friends send me like links to TikTok and I'll open them, right? And then it'll come in the browser and usually I can't see half the stuff on the screen because it's got all the ads.
Yeah.
I just have not. I've just kind of refused.
Yeah. I get it. I was like that for a long time.
But like I have a friend that she has a podcast and they are on TikTok and they put up things all the time and they just got like 1,000 followers on TikTok and so now they can go live on TikTok and so they did like
cool.
their podcast live on TikTok.
Yeah.
I was like, you're gonna make me get TikTok. Stop it. Stop.
Yeah.
I can't have another time suck social media. But for me, right? For me, social media, I don't get on Facebook much at all. I have all my notifications turned off for Facebook, so it doesn't even alert me. I just go in when I want and look, and then I get annoyed and I get off of it. Instagram, I watch stories more than I do scroll. I'm a story watcher because typically I just turn it on and I let it play while I'm making coffee, I'm making something, or if I'm doing something at work, I can just sit there and watch it. Sometimes I'll have to go back a couple screens. What were you talking? What's on the screen? What happened? And when you talk about polls, same thing, right? I try, like if I put a poll up, I don't normally, sometimes I don't get any response, but then I only have like 7 people view my story. And then it's like, oh, okay. There's 7 people, sometimes I miss polls because I'm not watching the screen.
Yeah.
But I know sometimes people will ask questions and I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. I don't know. And I think one time you put up a poll, you're like, this one or this one. And I just responded in a message. I was like, both.
Yeah.
Not choose. The answer is both. So sometimes if I can't answer the poll, I will just message.
Yeah.
Just be like, I don't know. I like it.
But at least it's communication, yes. Like you're giving me some feedback and I love that feedback.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't know. And I don't know if TikTok is better. I think you will get more, there's a better audience on TikTok. I think that is true. I've seen several people compare, contrast, do the same content on both. Mm-hmm. And the views they get on TikTok is out of this world compared to Instagram. So
I have heard that it's more organic. There's still some more organic growth on TikTok than there is on Instagram, which I get. Yeah, I'm trying. With the relaunch of the podcast, I am trying to do more things. Like I put the video. I do the video podcast and put it out on YouTube, like just another way. Because I've really gotten into watching. I never thought I would be into watching long form content on YouTube. But I have.
Long-term YouTube content.
Yeah, like, so I will watch an hour video or like somebody live stream. I follow somebody called Kia's World. And she's so funny. So I used to follow Rachel Hollis and Dave Hollis and their whole brand of like it's toxic positivity. And so that's something that I'm myself trying to deconstruct, right? Like I was that person too. Like I was very much like and there's nothing wrong with that. Let me put there's a harmony in that. There's a point where it gets to be too much and it's harmful to you in your thinking. So, but Kia's World and Cam and there's Heather the lawyer and her friend Stephanie, but they'll do like a live. And they'll like review like a podcast that she puts out, or they'll review like the Instagram, stories or lives or whatever. And so it's commentary on whatever it is. And so it may be 3.5 hours long, and I'll just put it on. I'll just be working or whatever, and I'll just listen to it. And I'm like,
interesting.
I never thought I'd be that person that would be like long form YouTube content. Yes, give me all the things.
Well, it's funny you say that because my students this week and a few weeks ago told me, oh, YouTube Shorts are the new thing, Miss Arrington. YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
Like TikTok is not good anymore. Oh, okay. Thank you. Good to know.
Everything comes back around. So we're going back to YouTube, and then it's probably going to go back to Facebook or Meta or whatever, and then Instagram, and then back to TikTok, and then wait, something new will try to slide in like for a minute, like Clubhouse, right? That tried to slide in for a second.
Oh yeah, I never got into that.
I got an invite to it, and I got on there, but it was very difficult to follow because you had to be there. Yeah. Because like it wasn't recorded, so if you wanted to be in the conversation, you had to get on when it started and be present. It was a little hard for me, like there's stuff to happen during the day. I'm like, I'm at work, I can't listen to you and do this. Okay, so I know we're at time, and I know you have things to do today.
I scheduled this. I had you back it up so I wouldn't be stressed. So I have another hour. So
okay,
no stress.
Okay,
but I still want to piggyback onto that.
Go ahead.
There is something in common of all of those formats, right? And that is video.
True.
And one of the great things about the job when I left teaching, I worked for a school fundraising company, but they allowed me to dabble in marketing. And I went to a marketing conference in Atlanta, and this was 4 or 5 years ago. And all they talked about was video this, video that. I mean, that is where we are going. If we're not already there, we're there, I guess. But it's going to just be more video. So get comfortable in front of the camera. And what I see that works really well for people is when they consistently do a style or a format. There's this British woman. She gets dressed every day. It's Monday, let's get dressed. And then she does this whole thing. And I'm not even into fashion. She's covered in tattoos. She does the nails and the jewelry and the makeup. That's not my thing at all. But I am fascinated with her content. She does the same thing every day. And it has amassed her this following. So that is something I'm going to try to lean into. It's just like with my Zentangle reels. They're pretty much the same format. And that works really well. And so when you see it, you automatically know it's probably me, right? As opposed to someone else. So I think if anybody can lean into creating videos and telling a story in a consistent manner, I think social media seems less exhausting. That's my thought. So
I like that. And I think that's part of the reason. I have to turn my do not disturb back on.
I know, somebody called a minute ago and I was like, what's happening to all my things?
And maybe that's why, because so when I watch these videos, and they're snarky, don't get me wrong, because it's really funny. Like, I find them very humorous because I was so in that world of knew all that was happening. And then to listen to their kind of snarky comments, and then I'll snark back too a little bit. But just because I feel like I know what that did to me. I know how that made my brain think. So, yeah. But for me, it's a story, right? Then they have that format. They're like, okay, we're going to listen to this podcast, and I understand that they're going to listen to the podcast. They're going to watch a Rach talk, and then they're going to pause it, and they're going to be like, okay, listen, and they're going to make some commentary, and then they're going to start it back. And I know to expect that, and it engages me because it's organic. It's very real life kind of thing. I feel involved in the conversation, even though I'm not, usually don't end up watching it live because they'll go live middle of the day or late at night. But I enjoy that format and that story because it just kind of builds upon itself. It's like a soap opera. Maybe that's what's next. Social media soap operas. That's what's going to happen. It's reality TV.
I was going to say that reality TV, yeah.
Played out on social media in soap opera format. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
No idea. I don't know what's happening with social media. I'm just here providing my little corner of the world.
Right. Exactly.
With what
yeah. Yep. That's how I feel a lot. And I'm like, well, it's a tiny little bubble of mine, and that's okay. It's better than no bubble, right?
That's right. I get to create because this is how. This is my creativity. Yep. This is how I produce this creativity is through the podcast and through the YouTube. And I did a reaction. So I did a reaction video to one of Rachel Hollis's podcasts, and I tried. So like I said, the other people I watch, they're snarky, and that's not an insult, by the way. To me, it's comedy.
Yeah.
But I did it. When I did it, I tried not to be like snark for snark's sake. Like, I tried to be like, okay, here's the deal. Like, this is why I don't agree, or this is why this upsets me, or she says this, but y'all, that's not a healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
Try to add like value back into the conversation when I do a reaction. And I don't know. I put one out there. I made it really late at night. And so if anybody watches that, thank you because it was 11:30 at the end of it. And I was just like, I know you could tell it on my face. I was just like, oh, this is so bad. Like, I was so exhausted.
Now, was this recently? Because for some reason, I hate that I'm going to say this, but I thought she was canceled.
So, she's trying to make a comeback.
Okay.
Yeah, she's trying to make a comeback. So Toilet Gate happened.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Yes.
Is she the one who wrote Girl Wash Your Face?
Yes.
Okay, which I think I did read that before she was canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's,
So there is on my original YouTube channel, I did, the only video that's there is my review of Girl Wash Your Face.
Okay.
And it will remain up until I do my Deep Thoughts podcast episode.
Okay.
On deconstructing toxic positivity. Because I am going to do a reaction video to my own video. Because I've watched it back. That's cringe, Heather. That's so bad. Like, well, yeah, this needs to happen. So I'm gonna watch it on the podcast.
I think that's awesome. Yeah. I think that's great. I do. So many people are, we're so scared to be vulnerable and to admit that we didn't know best at the time, or maybe we thought we knew best and we've changed or we've evolved or we've grown somehow. And this is me going back and saying, I used to be like this and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's made me who I am, or, it's changed, or, whatever it is. So,
yeah, the growth, I think that's what makes it different in people, right? So, like Rachel, this was not meant to be about Rachel Hollis, but we'll go down this path for a moment. But I think with like people like her, like social media influencers and such, they get, they do something like Toiletgate. They do something that gets them canceled. And then they try to come back, but they never acknowledge what they did. They never go back to say, you know what, I was wrong and I apologize. Or they do like a very insincere apology. Like it's never a real like message. And that for me, I think that's where for 100% I want to be different, because I'm not a social media star. Maybe I don't know that I want to be one.
Yeah,
I think that's where you learn and grow, and you can show people that. And I do want people to know that it's okay to grow and to change. It's okay to say, you know what, I said that. Guess what? I was wrong.
Yeah. And
I apologize for if I hurt anybody, or if I gave you advice that maybe wasn't the right thing. Owning that and saying, guess what? I'm trying to do better.
Yeah.
That's where growth comes, and I think that's where the realness comes, and that's something that's lacking in certain spaces. And I think part of it too is when you have that, like when you take Rachel and Dave and they put their life on social media and they branded all of these things and everything, and then they get a divorce, and then and we don't need, it's their business, right? We don't need to know in their private lives. But when you've been so public about everything and then something happens and you go, whoop, wall.
Yeah.
That's when you lose that trust of the people that were following you.
Yep.
Because you're now not being authentic. You're now not being honest. And take the time, step away. Divorce is hard.
Right.
I went through a divorce 14 years ago. Gosh.
Time. Yeah. Time.
And even though we didn't have kids and it wasn't, we'd only been married almost 5 years, it was still hard.
Yeah.
It's always a hard thing to go through. And so I get taking the time, but just owning up to the things that you're called out for, and showing that you can grow and change, and asking for forgiveness sincerely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know we went down that rabbit hole.
I look forward to the deep thoughts when you get there.
Yes. I think that one is in, when is that one? Like, I planned out all of my podcast. That is July. That'll be July, yeah. Next month in June, Deep Thoughts in June is WeWork, Theranos, that kind of that kind of I don't see all the words. It's Saturday morning. Words don't come well. on Saturday morning. But those companies that did that, so that's June. I'm excited about that one.
Okay.
To get into that kind of stuff because I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
Fascinated by
I love that documentary.
Yes.
That kind of stuff is, like you said, fascinating. Okay. Yes. Sorry.
Okay. But back on track.
Okay.
Right. So any last pieces of like advice for, being like, I don't even know where my question just went. Any last like pieces of advice for people that are maybe wanting to dip their toe into being creative, but maybe they're scared, they're nervous about putting their art out there, or whatever their art form is. Any advice for those creative people out there holding themselves back?
I'll share like a few little, mantras that I kind of live by. The first, and none of these are things I made up. These are things that I've read and found through the years. The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. That is important to remember. That doesn't mean you shouldn't plant the seed, right? So just begin. And done is better than perfect. And as a perfectionist, this has been a very long journey for me to get over. But nobody criticizes you the way you criticize yourself. My display, everything I wanted last weekend was not 100%. And a few days before before the fair, I came to terms with that. And I was like, it's okay, Martha, because you have all this other stuff. Nobody notices the details that our brain thinks they are going to notice. So I think just sharing is better than not sharing at all. Sharing imperfect work. And I think that's a lot more acceptable in our culture these days. Like being flawed is almost smiled upon now, So I think that's a little bit easier. And then the other thing I would say is, I think it goes, a dream without a plan is just a wish. So you need to set yourself up so do something every day. Do the 100-day project. Do a 30-day project. You don't have to start out with 100, but set yourself up, make a plan. I'm going to commit to something for this amount of time, or I'm going to draw, or I'm going to play the guitar every single day for 30 minutes. It's not necessarily about talent, right? It's about commitment. And you can call that work ethic if you wanted to, but committing yourself to what you really want to do is really important. And then kind of like I think a general statement, get rid of all the clutter in your life, the mental clutter, the clutter in your house. And I think that is helpful to be more creative. But yeah, just put it out there, put the imperfect stuff out there, be vulnerable, and make a plan about it. Like if you are really committed to sharing something, say, I'm going to do this every day, or I'm going to make a post every Friday, whatever that post is, or whatever you're sharing. So that's it.
I love that. Okay. I love it. Okay. So tell everybody, I'll put them all in the show notes, but where can everybody find you? Social media, website, all of that stuff.
Everything is Martha Arrington Art. So Martha Arrington Art for Instagram, TikTok, and look for TikTok stuff in July. That's like my big TikTok time. I have a Facebook page. I'm never on it, so don't go there. And my website is marthaarringtonart.com.
Perfect. Nice.
And I think I have a YouTube Martha Arrington Art, which I used to post on. So yeah, everything is Martha Arrington Art.
So now what if you have a YouTube, right? Now you can take your reels and your TikToks and make them YouTube shorts.
That's right.
Reuse that content.
Yes.
That's what all those social media people say. Just reuse the content, recycle that stuff.
But people have said, like, you can't take a TikTok video and put it into Instagram. I mean, you can, but apparently their little filters see the TikTok thing, and then they're like, they cancel you, right?
Yeah.
It's we're all going to be really good video editors, I think.
So okay, I know we closed. I asked you the last question, but this is the one thing that I don't understand. And so if anybody's listening, and you can help me understand this, right? People that do, like, so Carlos Whitaker, I follow him.
Me too. I love him.
He's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
How he manages all of his stories have captions. Now they're not always spelled correctly because
right,
auto-generated. But
right.
like the amount of things that he puts out, I'm just like, I can't even fathom the amount of time. When do you have time to do anything else? But maybe it's his assistant. Maybe it's somebody that actually like produces those kind of things.
Does he have an assistant?
So he did. She just left. And I know Heather is acting as his assistant at the moment. I don't know if he's hired anybody else. He didn't talk about her much until she left, and he did that. And he said it. He told everybody, he's like, I did that purposely. I didn't want y'all to like over-indate with things. He's like, so okay. I didn't name who she was, but yeah, he was like, yes, okay. I have an assistant. Like that's the thing. So I just don't like that. For me, I'm like, but how do you make the time? And like, I don't. Maybe you're just not good at it yet either.
But he doesn't have a 9 to 5 like we do.
No,
I mean,
this is true. This is true.
I think my big thing with Carlos, I love him to death. My big thing is, I can't be that person that walks down the street or walks through an airport talking at my phone. I mean,
so awkward.
I've started this thing like on Saturday mornings where I go to market here in Augusta and I buy all this stuff and then I want to share it. And I do this one little video and I feel like the biggest dork out there on the sidewalk, setting up my phone and doing a little shot with all my stuff. I'm like, and that's just one time a week that I'm doing that. So I'm like, Carlos does it every time he shares something. It's always with his phone in front of him. I don't see how he does that, but that's me.
I think that's what it is for me. Is I think that is part of my blockage. Is like, you know, because I try to be in the moment. I try to be present.
Yeah.
As well, like I really do try to practice that. You know, kind of just remember the things that are happening versus, you know, looking at them through your phone. But yeah, it's that let me walk around. Hey, blah 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 blah. Like people are, you know, I'm so self-conscious.
I'm always like, can anybody see me? Like, you know, it's like you're looking at a celebrity and you don't want them to see you. That's how I feel when I have my phone out, selfieing myself.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one. Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This has been a wonderful Saturday morning. And it's been great to talk to you and Zoom real life.
Thank you again to Martha for hanging out with me. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I cannot wait to see what comes next for her art. If you want to connect with Martha, you can find her at Martha Arrington Art on all the platforms, and I've linked them down in the show notes. Well, that's going to wrap us up for today. Next week, I'm going to be talking about resumes as we focus on navigating the workplace. But until then, remember that you are loved, you are worthy, and there are great things ahead for you in this life if you trust and believe in the Lord. We'll see you next week.